fermentation, movies and inebriation, films and fermentation, comedy mixed with taste elevation. Films and fermentation with Leo, Kevman and Mike.
Not that I don't enjoy listening to our theme song, but I already did that earlier, so I don't know why it played again. So I guess when I edit this later, I'm going to have to cut out the extra theme song.
We'll do whichever one they perform better.
Okay.
You know, whichever one they perform better is the one that you
I might go with the live version. Live AI. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Films and Fermentation. Tonight is episode 180. It's a special episode because we are looking at the 40th anniversary of a cult classic. I don't know. Is this a cult classic? I feel like it did well enough. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it did well enough at the box office that you can say it's just a classic. And that is the film The Goonies. That's tonight's episode 180, Goonies Never Say Die.
Well, they have a little mini movie called The Making of a Cult Classic, the unauthorized story of the Goonies. I guess it's a cult classic.
I guess so. I don't know. I feel like I feel like it goes beyond cult because of its status, but we'll talk about that later.
Wait a minute!
Steven Spielberg presents The Goonies, a Richard Donner film.
Time, chunk. Hey, Mike found the map! Whoa, do you guys realize what we could do? I don't want to go on any more of your crazy Goonie adventures.
Meet Mikey,
I gotta go fast.
Brand, Andy,
Shame. Come on, Brand. Slipper the tongue. That's disgusting. No, I can't even look.
Mouth,
I gotcha. Now get out from behind there. You're ruining the painting. You're ruining my joke.
Stephanie, Data,
Booty banger. Ow. Guys, isn't that neat?
and Chunk.
It's locked. Thanks, Chunk.
They call themselves The Goonies. They've stumbled onto a legend, but they're not alone.
Chunk, I hope that was your stomach. No. That's the it. Sounds like Kong.
Discover what they uncover.
It was rubies and emeralds and diamonds.
The lost map.
Oh, it's the start of the tunnel.
The secret caves.
Hey, Mikey! You can hear me! Run! Run! They're coming after you! Juggler!
The hidden clues.
Mikey!
The treacherous traps.
Hello, Sheriff. I'm at the Lighthouse Lounge, and I want to report a murder.
Just like that last prank about all those little creatures that multiply when you throw water on them.
Take the oath.
They're here! Somebody's coming!
Join the adventure as Steven Spielberg presents The Goonies, a Richard Donner film.
Once again, as I said, welcome to Films and Fermentation, a movie and alcohol podcast, #1 pop culture podcast on Good Pods, also the #1 beer podcast on Good Pods. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
Kevin.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Kevin.
Your voice broke like the kids in the Goonies.
That's right.
I'm Mike. Okay.
We're three friends who like to talk shit about movies while getting shit-faced and looking for pirate treasure.
Y'all.
Hey, you guys! In this episode, we're doing the Truffle Shuffle for a cinematic classic. It's the 40th anniversary of The Goonies, the movie that taught us friendship, treasure maps, and the importance of a good inhaler. We're diving into the world of pirate ships, booby traps, and Chunk's questionable storytelling skills. So grab your treasure map and a Baby Ruth, because Goonies never say die, and neither do we when it comes to talking about this gem. Let's celebrate 40 years of mischief, adventure, and questionable behavior. That's right. You can drop us an email at filmsoffermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsoffermentation. Find all our social media and podcast links. Become part of the Films and Fermentation family by supporting us on Patreon or buying our merchandise at teespring.com. We are now part of the Pod Nation TV network on Roku. We are an independent podcast, which means we are listener supported. So please consider joining our Patreon for as little as $1 a month to receive members only content. That's right. For a limited time, a $1 donation will get you a copy of Mike's cover of Goonies Are Good Enough. Just go to Patreon.
Good enough for me.
Yeah. So go to patreon.com/films of fermentation. Purchase our merchandise at teespring.com, as I said. We're actually going to be releasing a Patreon exclusive bonus episode this week. It'll be available on Patreon, but if you'd like to watch it for free, it would also be available on Pod Nation TV on Roku, but that'll be the only two ways that you can see this bonus episode. You can text us at 904-867-4466. What are we drinking tonight, gentlemen?
Real quickly, you forgot one thing that this movie taught us.
I forgot one thing. I just spent a lot, man. What did I forget?
That if a girl kisses somebody with her eyes closed, she doesn't know who it is.
Unless he has braces.
Unless he has braces. Or he's standing in a hole.
Oh, he's sitting in a hole.
I may have mentioned that in my summary. I don't know.
So,
Mike, what are you drinking tonight?
I am trying to clear out my Christmas beer still.
Mm-hmm.
I'm drinking from Trog's gingerbread cookie stout. It is a 9.5% a 9.5% alcohol by volume. It is dark. It is strong. It is sweet.
Sounds good, man. That sounds like it's probably a little little spicy there because of the gingerbread cookie.
Yeah, got some spice to it.
Kev, what you got going on tonight, my friend?
As you gentlemen know, I never come with just one. I have the Dew. I mean, I've had these before on the show, but like Mike, I'm also trying to clear out the fridge. This is a Dew Claw Brewing Company, the Patriarchy Candy Cane Imperial Stout, 7.5% alcohol by volume. A beautifully dark Imperial Stout with a tan head. That's as tasty as it is inviting. Come on in from the cold and slide into the holidays with cool notes of peppermint, roasty malts, and deep chocolate. And if I get through that, I have a Hero Boy from Mud Hen in Wildwood, I believe, or Cape May, New Jersey. No, Wildwood. And this is the Mud Hen Hero Boy, which is a Belgian-style strong ale with cherry and spice at 9% alcohol by volume.
He said if if he gets through that first one.
If
I went with a theme drink tonight. So it's a mixed drink. It's 2 ounces of bourbon. And for my bourbon, I used Independent Spirits bourbon from right here in New Jersey. 2 ounces of bourbon, 1 ounce of lemon juice, 1 ounce of maple syrup, a dash of bitters, which you shake over ice and pour into your glass, and then add a splash of lemon lime soda to the end of it. I've been drinking it already. It's very, very tasty. It's like sweet and bitter at the same time. It almost kind of tastes like a mule a little bit. But it's a theme drink because it is called the Truffle Shuffle. Oh man, it is very good. Yeah, we could tell a story about my drunk truffle shuffle down in New City, Maryland later if we have time. Anyway, let's go to our first main segment of the evening.
This week in film history with Mike. This week in film history with Mike.
This week in film history with Mike.
Mike's a glutton. He has to have two introductions: song and dance.
You know,
So what we got going on, sir?
1940, The Grapes of Wrath, directed by John Ford and based on John Steinbeck's novel of the same name, starring Henry Fonda and Jane Darwell, is released.
One of the few times I will say that the movie and the book are both equally excellent. You know, it's pretty faithful to the novel. Next one you got there, sir.
1968, Arthur Penn's film Bonnie and Clyde premieres in Paris, France, and stars Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway in attendance.
Pretty good movie. A little long. If you're not into historical accuracy, it's an excellent film. Also, of note, it is the film debut of Gene Wilder. Yeah, he has a very small role in the film. Give me the next one, sir.
1983 TV series The A-Team with George Papard and Mr. T premieres on NBC. Did you guys get that clip I sent you?
What's that?
Did you guys get that clip on Facebook I sent you
Of what?
of the next gen A-Team?
No, I'll have to check it out later. Did you send that today?
It is one of the coolest cars, though. I mean, when you look at the 80s cars,
Van?
you wanted that black van with the red stripe.
I wouldn't be impervious to bullets the way they are. Used to drop like 2,000 rounds every episode. Nobody ever got hit.
All right.
It was like watching an episode of G.I. Joe.
Well, those weren't bullets; those were lasers, blue and red.
Pity fool. What was his name? You remember his name in the show, Mr. T?
B.A. Baracus.
Very good. B.A. Baracus.
Oh, I know all of them.
Yeah, you know him, B.A. Baracus.
Oh,
Face was the handsome guy.
Yeah.
Hannibal.
Hannibal was George Papard.
Mm-hmm.
And Howling Mad Murdoch.
Yeah. I loved 18 when I was a kid. I used to watch it all the time.
Yeah.
The next one, Mike, I actually looked this up earlier, and we can't play it for copyright reasons, but go ahead and tell us what it is.
1984, Apple Computer Inc. unveils its revolutionary Macintosh personal computer in a Super Bowl TV ad directed by Ridley Scott.
Well, let me tell you. So I watched the commercial. We can't play it for copyright reasons, but it's definitely a commercial directed by Ridley Scott. It is very futuristic, like dystopian, and it ends with the tagline, "New Macintosh computer from Apple. It's going to show you why 1984 isn't 1984." Because the whole commercial was kind of based on the novel 1984. So it was like, what is the last one you got there, sir?
And 1994, British comedy Four Weddings and a Funeral, written by Richard Curtis, starring Hugh Grant, premieres at the Sundance Film Festival.
Yes. One of my wife's favorite films.
Would you say this was Hugh Grant's breakout role? This was what got attention. Yeah.
I think this is definitely the breakout role. This is the one that made him that foppish British romantic lead. I mean, he's had better roles since then, but this is definitely the one to put him on the map. You also had Andie MacDowell in this film. It was a big role for her, and like a who's who of like British actors at the time, including Mr. Bean as the bishop who was trying to do the weddings.
Holy spigot!
Mike, you must try craft or beer destinations this evening.
I'm gonna must try beer. This is the Arthur 2019 vintage from Hill Farmstead Brewery, Greensboro Bend, Vermont. If you like beer, you probably know that Hill Farmstead has been voted best brewery in America for more than a decade, and for good reason. Arthur is a traditional farmhouse ale, pale in glass with mounds of white foam. It smells like apples, peaches, oak leaves, and lemons. It's got a bit of a clove and a bit of barnyard funk.
Barnyard.
From the wild yeast blend used, and it's tart on the palate with lots of saison complexity following. Natural carbonation from bottle conditioning means here is a live yeast. There is live yeast in the bottle, so it will last for years if stored properly, despite it being only 6.3 ABV.
I
I'm
can't tell
just
you how many times I've drank a beer and said, "Man, this could use a little more barnyard funk."
Here are your cow pie hops, and here
Just when I
we
thought
have
we had,
your pig swill barley.
just when I thought we had something a little more normal than the one that was like prunes and chocolate or some shit.
hey, you need that barnyard funk, all right?
Barnyard funk. It sounds almost like a '70s like country,
This was
like
the
funkadelic hybrid song.
this was the
Freak that
follow up to
barnyard
Bruno
funk,
Mars. Yeah,
white
this was the follow up
boy.
to Bruno Mars's
Freak that
Uptown Funk.
barnyard
This is
funk.
Barnyard Funk.
Yeah.
It's barnyard funk.
Barnyard Funk ain't give it to you.
Lay down and boogie. Yeah,
Hey,
drink
and
that
play that
barnyard
funk
funk
in
into
the
your
good
eye.
time. It was a little known collaboration between George Clinton and Engelbert Humperdinck.
Slut
Barnyard
bum
funk. Oh man! So before we totally get off the rails, which I'm sure we'll do anyway at some point tonight,
Oh.
let's hit our next segment here.
Kevin's here, he's here for beer. He's got news, it's beer than the Kevin.
Kevin!
Kevin! All right, we're gentlemen. First, I want to take us across the pond, going into Yorkshire, England, where a beer logo and pump scraped after a knife complaint. A beer. Can you guys hear me? Is this all right?
Yes, I can hear
Is
you.
this thing on? Is this thing on? All right. A beer
Huh?
logo
What?
created in memory of a Sheffield cutlery legend has been discontinued after a member of the public complained that it encouraged violence. The ale, named in honor of Stan Shaw, last of the Little Mesters knife makers, was served using a specialty made ornamental knife handle and tap clip at a bar in Sheffield. A complaint about the pump and clip, which featured a cartoon of Mr. Shaw holding a knife, was upheld by alcohol industry regulation, the Portman Group. Ben Shaw, director of the Little Mesters Brewing Company, which produced the beer, said he was devastated by the decision. The regulator said a drink should not suggest any association with violent behavior. Stan Shaw, who died at the age of 93 in 2021, made knives for the Queen, U.S. presidents, and Elvis Presley. The beer was launched in 2022 to honor his skills and the company. He received no other complaints about it in this time, according to a report by the Portman Group. The complaint was handled by the independent complaint panel. Rachel Childs, chair of the group, said the panel acknowledged that the producer had simply sought to celebrate an important local craftsman. However, she highlighted raising rates of knife crime in Sheffield, where the marketing had appeared, which had generally a high level of concern. It's important to remember that any depiction of knives on alcohol packaging has to be approached with great caution, she said. This is a very English reaction. There was no blade or suggestion of a blade attached to the bump handle, the report said. Mr. Shaw, who is not related to Stan Shaw, said staff at the brewery were absolutely devastated. We were so proud to be commemorating Stan's life and work and all the Little Mesters. We completely innocently came up with the branding, which is relevant to Stan, and having to remove that or change it feels like a real kick. Stan Shaw's son Kevin, Kevan, because he's English, said that he was staggered by the complaint, which happens often, getting staggered. He said that he felt it was ludicrous to find a cartoon of his father holding a knife to be offensive, and that the photo of the cartoon was based on the photo that the cartoon was based on had been used extensively over the years. A spokesperson for the brewery said no further products with the current logo would be made, but existing stock would continue to be sold. So, don't put people with knives on your beer labels.
In
You
England.
say
At least
in
England.
America, they would have been like, this beer needs more knife.
It needs more guns. We need
Yeah,
More
guns.
guns, more knife.
Put guns on it. We don't need
Little-
that.
This beer comes at you with a gun. You
barnyard
open
gun.
it with a little boom.
See, we would see that little knife and go, that's not a knife. This is a knife.
This is a knife. 40th anniversary of that film, too.
I mean, we even drink beers in a style called shotgunning it. All right, back here in the States to where it's really important.
Yeah.
Idaho.
Idaho. Potato beer.
Idaho. A new craft beer and putt-putt pub opens doors in Nampa. Nampa, Idaho. There's a new spot in Nampa where you can go sip and swing a golf club. Pub and Putt combines a love of craft beer and mini golf. Derek, our owner, and his wife Carol have a 30-year putt-putt rivalry, and I'm echoing, and has had a huge background in the craft beer industry. So he brought together his rivalry with his wife and love for craft beer into Pub and Putt, said Jennifer Moss, general manager of Pub and Putt. Minors are allowed inside Pub and Putt with adult supervision. The business is family friendly and until 7, and then operates strictly as a pub from 7 until 9. We want to be the first bar and foremost, foremost, but we knew that families would come and we'd want them to be able to enjoy themselves too, said Moss. Kids are out by 7 so that way people can enjoy themselves in this place as a bar. Pub and Putt officially opened its doors in December of 2024. They specialize in craft beer and pub food. There's definitely nothing on this side of the valley with this same concept. We have a very unique and diverse beer list that is kind of unparalleled. We also have a full liquor license, said Moss. We have pizzas, paninis, and a variety of bar snacks, very pub-oriented. Pub and Putt incorporates local breweries that many locals know and love, while also including more unique options. I think the kind of variety that we have is unique to us because we have something for everybody across the board. We have lagers, we have a variety of regular light beers, we have dark beers, we have barrel-aged beers. We have 2 draft cocktails, said Moss. We feature local and regional breweries and also have beer from Belgium, for instance, and beer from all over. Moss said that everyone is welcome to enjoy a beer and some pizza at Pub and Putt. So, guys, next time you're in Nampa, and we all know how often we go, you gotta look for the Pub and Putt.
So I'm thinking we add it to the road trip, but I'm also thinking like at some point or another, I feel like a putt pub would open up around here somewhere too. It sounds like
look, they may be
fun
looking
idea.
to franchise.
Yeah,
If they're looking to franchise, we should look into it.
With all the shore points, I'm sure there's got to be one going to open down there at some point.
I mean, you could always just bring your own beer in. So
yeah, but
it may not be like it may be frowned upon, but who cares?
A lot of things.
And from Idaho to the cheery, sun-filled city of Detroit. Detroit's Dutch Girl Donuts inspire craft beer. The rich stout tastes like chocolate glazed donuts and coffee. Dutch Girl Donuts have been a Detroit favorite for decades, but would you drink a beer that tastes like one of its chocolate glazed donuts? Of course we would. Griffin Fall Brewing Company is betting you will. The brewery is teaming up with Dutch Girl Donuts and Off the Wagon, a wine, beer, and spirit maker in Clawson, to create a rich, decadent stout paired with a bold infusion of coffee. The limited edition brew, named Dutch Wagon, is a delightful blend of freshly brewed coffee, creamy cocoa, and that unmistakable donut shop flavor in every sip, according to the news release. The beer is sold in 4-packs of 16-ounce cans at Off the Wagon, located at 1500 North Crooks Road, and is available while supplies last. After closing for several months, Dutch Girl Donuts on Woodward Avenue reopened under new ownership, and Metro Times foodie Tom Perkins reports that its donuts taste like the OG Dutch donuts that I remember. This is the second collaboration between Griffin Claw Brewing Company and Off the Wagon, following the debut of their fruited kettle sour Shaggin' Wagon. I think I may have had Shaggin' Wagon. Anyway,
That's what I used to
that's
call my
the
car in high school.
news.
That wasn't very popular.
Oh,
That was beer news. So we're gonna take a quick break here and come back with our main segment, Goonies at 40. So we are moving on to our main segment now tonight. Goonies Never Die, the 40th anniversary of the Goonies. We're going to look at this by looking at some of the stats for the film. Cast and crew, a little synopsis. I have my own little summary that I wrote. We got some trivia, some quotes, fond memories. This will be like our walk down memory lane. I do have a couple nitpicks about the film that I'd like to bring up. Taglines. We're going to recast with the Muppets, possibly. I think we should work together on this one because I had a lot of trouble with this one, trying to figure out who I wanted to what role.
I think I got it down. Pretty much.
And then we'll go from there. But let's start out here. So, Goonies came out in 1985. That is why we are celebrating the 40th anniversary this year. It had a budget of $19 million estimated, which was a pretty decent budget for a movie like this at that time period. And it went on to gross $63 million plus in the United States and Canada, $64 million worldwide. So it only made $1 million more worldwide. I kind of feel like this is a very niche American film.
The $19 million, when you have Richard Donner and Steven Spielberg, they're gonna give you money.
I thought 18 million of it was for the octopus scene that they didn't end up going with.
No, it was for the gorilla scene or the ape scene that they lost the film for.
Oh yeah, it was the zoo, right? The zoo. There was a scene with the zoo with the plumbing and all that, like the animals escape and shit.
And the apes.
You do hear the animals in the background though.
The apes escaped and stole a car.
Yeah, and I think there's like giraffes that get out too. It was like a whole big scene.
Yeah, all filmed by Steven Spielberg, and they couldn't find the film. They lost the film.
So we were discussing earlier, is this a cult classic or a classic? And here's the ratings for it. On IMDb, it has a 7.7 out of 10. I feel like that's a little low, but okay. 71% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 91% viewer score. That sounds about right. I feel like this is a hit or miss with critics, and a lot of fans kind of look back on it fondly.
Yes,
like we do. So, cast and crew. I could probably do most of this off the top of my head without going to IMDb. Directed by Richard Donner. Produced by Steven. You can't help but know it's produced by Steven Spielberg because name's the first thing that pops on the fucking screen. It was just like Gremlins. You would think it was like, he directed it.
In the little documentary I watched, Corey Feldman was like, everybody's waiting for this movie because it's like Jaws, the movie trailer, all these movies they did. It was good.
Yeah, because it was like from the man who brought you Jaws and E.T. and all that shit.
Indiana Jones.
Let's see if I can name these off the top of my head. You got Sean Astin as Mikey.
Yes.
Corey Feldman as Mouth.
Yes.
Ki Hugh Kwan as Data.
Yep.
Jeff Cohen as Chunk.
Yep.
Josh Brolin as Brand.
Mm-hmm.
Kerry Green as Andy. Martha Plimpton as Steph.
Yep.
The Fratelli brothers were Joe Panigliano and Robert Davi.
Mm-hmm.
And Mama Fratelli, what the hell's her name? Like, she's the one who like I should know, and I can't think of her name.
Throw her off the train.
Yeah, I know. That's why I should know it. Ann Ramsey.
There you go.
And Sloth, played by former Raiders football player John Matuzak.
Yep.
And then Mrs. Walsh, the mom, is played by Mary Ellen Trainor, who was like everybody's mom in every movie in the 80s.
Exactly.
Fun fact:
The only
Megan
thing-
Trainor's actual mom.
Is that,
No, I'm
are
kidding.
you- I was going to say, do I need to play You're Sitting on a Throne Alive?
Yes.
The only thing I don't know, and I think I would like to know, is who did the soundtrack? Who did the score, rather?
Cyndi Lauper.
Cyndi
I
Lauper.
know. Well, I mean, Cyndi Lauper did most of the songs, like pop songs that you hear in the film, but I mean, like the score itself. Let's see if I can figure this out. This is great podcasting right here. I'm so prepared for this.
Here's some fun facts for you that I got off
Yeah,
the
go give me some fun facts while I'm looking this shit up.
off the documentary. We were talking about the Fratelli brothers. Robert and Joe actually did not like each other. They would do dirty tricks to each other throughout the whole movie, and they put shit like that in the movie to show that it's like a brotherly rivalry.
Yeah.
Between-
I do know, like, they said that the reason that they were cast in the notes that I had were because of how they got along together, and I didn't know it was because like they played tricks on each other. They just said that there was like a chemistry between the two of them that they really liked, and that's why they did. They
didn't like each other much because when Robert did his interview or whatever he did, he pretty much threw Joe under the bus. Said, he wears a wig.
Which they use in the film, yeah.
Yes.
So the score of the film was composed by Dave Grusin, who did scores for other films like The Fabulous Baker Boys, The Graduate, Tootsie, and The Firm. So somebody who's kind of been around for a while there.
And Hudson.
And Hudson Hawk.
If you like to swing on
a star. All right. The IMDb synopsis for the film: a group of young misfits called the Goonies discover an ancient map and set out on an adventure to find a legendary pirate's long-lost treasure. Not great, but it's not one of the worst IMDb synopses I've ever seen.
That was short to the point. Then we look at yours.
Yes, then we got mine. So I gave you guys I shared my synopsis with you guys. So feel free to jump in at any time you want. If you want to fill things in that I forgot. I don't know if I forgot anything. Or
I don't
make
think
any
anybody needs to
comments.
watch the movie after what you put here.
You might think I've seen this movie before. So here is my little summary of the film. We open with that staple of all 80s kids films, a jail cell suicide. This is a false setup, however, and just one step in an elaborate plan by the Fratellis, two dim-witted brothers and their terrifying mom, to break one of the Fratellis out of that undermanned, poorly guarded prison.
Hold on
Cue
here.
the Jeep commercial.
Hold on, wait. Before you get past that,
Mhm.
The fire scene where they
Yes.
stop the cops was originally supposed to be he would light a dollar bill for the bank robbery that they did and throw it, but it always got put out. So Robert's like, why don't I have you shoot it with the gun?
It's also one of those like movie tropes where you can start a fire that easily with gasoline.
Yeah.
Usually, that takes a little bit more than that. From here, we go to the Jeep commercial. I mean, car chase on the beach, which just happens to have a lot of Jeeps on it. And then enter the kids of the Goondocks in Astoria, Oregon. I had to look this up earlier to see, were there pirates in Oregon? Because I'm like, I didn't never really dawn on me before that they're on the West Coast in
I was
Oregon.
Pirates weren't permitted on the West Coast. They had.
I thought they were always in the East Coast. So
No, I looked it up, and believe it or not, there actually were remains of pirate ships and stuff off of the coast of Oregon in the Pacific Ocean.
Japanese
got lost. That's all. They were just.
I was surprised to see it, but there were actually pirate ships. Where am I? Mikey Walsh, a kid with asthma and zero chill, leads a gang of neighborhood misfits called the Goonies on a quest to save their houses from being turned into golf courses. Because rich guys always hate children and middle-class dreams in these films. Chunk, the human... What's that?
That's the 80s.
That's the 80s. Chunk, the human embodiment of a dropped ice cream cone, introduces us to his signature dance move, the Truffle Shuffle, because nothing is funnier than childhood obesity. Data, the Goonies gadget wizard, is basically what you'd get if MacGyver and Inspector Gadget had a baby with zero OSHA compliance. Mouth, who is exactly as annoying as his name suggests, spends the entire movie proving why kids need supervision both in English and Spanish. The Goonies find a treasure map in Mikey's attic, which is conveniently left by pirate One-Eyed Willie, who is clearly the original hoarder. One-Eyed Willie is somehow not a joke in this film, despite sounding like a not safe for work pirate nickname. The map leads to the treasure, aka the only retirement plan pirates ever had. The kids enter a creepy abandoned restaurant run by the Fratellis because no Goonie has ever heard of stranger danger. Chunk immediately spills the beans about the treasure map. If loyalty was pudding, Chunk would eat it.
Oh, wait a minute. He spilled the beans on like everything he did his whole life.
Well, we're getting to that. That's in here. Don't worry. I left no stone unturned on this summary here, Mike. Sloth, the Fratelli's mutant son, is locked in the basement because nothing says family bonding like chaining up your misunderstood giant child. Mikey delivers a heartfelt monologue about adventure, which somehow convinces everyone to risk their lives. The Goonies Goonies start their treasure hunt through underground tunnels that are suspiciously accessible and filled with Rube Goldberg death traps. This is we start with the Chester Cobblepot scene. Copperpot. I say Cobblepot. That's Oswald. That's the penguin. Copperpot. Every booby trap is absurdly elaborate because pirates apparently had a lot of free time.
Booty trap.
Booty trap. That's what I said.
Booty trap.
Chunk gets caught by the Fratellis because stealth is not his strong suit. The Fratellis threaten Chunk with a blender, proving once again this is a kid's film. Chunk prevents Sloth over a shared love of chocolate bars and Errol Flynn movies. Sloth's iconic catchphrase, "Hey, you guys," is both heartwarming and terrifying, like a hug from a bear.
It came from the Electric Club. Electric Company.
Electric Company. Data's gadgets fail 90% of the time, but work just enough to keep him from dying horrifically. Mikey kisses Andy in a dark cave, which is super romantic until she realizes she kissed the wrong brother. Mouth finds a wishing well and keeps the coin that was his wish. This scene was Corey Feldman's Oscar reel, but it didn't get him the nomination. The group stumbles upon a bone organ, which is either a puzzle or the title of some rough 80s porn. Chunk and Sloth join forces, forming the greatest duo since Batman and Robin or Abbott and Costello, based on your perspective. The Goonies finally find One-Eyed Willie's treasure, which is mostly gold and definitely cursed by bad pirate hygiene. The Fratellis catch up, proving that chasing children through death traps is the only cardio they have ever done. Sloth rebels against his family because even he knows the Fratellis are one team-building exercise away from imploding. The treasure is lost in a dramatic escape scene because no 80s movie can end without crushing childhood dreams. Just when all seems lost, the Goonies' parents show up, and you remember these kids were definitely unsupervised for way too long. One-Eyed Willie's ship sails off into the sunset, raising questions about maritime ghost rights and why no one called the Coast Guard. In the end, the Goonies save their homes thanks to the deus ex machina of Rosita finding precious gems in Mikey's coat pocket, and prove that friendship, treasure maps, and blatant disregard for safety laws always wins the day. It's a messy, chaotic, and totally unrealistic film, but we love every second of it because Goonies never say die.
So, interesting fact. The end scene had to be redone
Yes.
because originally
it's in my notes, but I'm guessing you got it from your documentary.
I got it from a documentary that the original end was the ship got buried in the avalanche collapse, and the Rosa found the pockets in a coat pocket, and had to come running out for the scene. That she found.
Oh, that's not the thing I had in my notes. In my notes was the first time the kids see the pirate ship. They didn't show them the ship beforehand. The ship was practical; it was built on set, and they wanted the kids' reactions to be natural. So they filmed their initial reaction to the ship the first time they ever saw it. And Josh Brolin turned around, looked at it, and went, "Fuck!" And they had to refilm it.
Oh.
Hey, everybody! For any really studious viewers out there who are watching us on either YouTube or on Pod Nation, you might want to wonder why we're all wearing different clothing. So we record on Thursday nights. Yeah, we record on Thursday. Wardrobe change. We record on Thursday nights. Mike had what we'll call technical difficulties Thursday night.
Yeah,
involving some pipes.
There was some leakage. There was some leakage.
A little bit of leakage. Yeah,
a little bit of leakage.
So we had to stop. We had to stop recording and restart another night. So that's why we're all wearing different clothes right now. This is Saturday as of the recording of the second part of the video. Also, in the 2 days since we did the first half of the video, the Pod Nation TV network changed its name to Pod Nation Media Network. So we are now a part of the Pod Nation Media Network. Ignore what I said earlier in the show. So we had just did our summary of Goonies as we're celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. So now we're going to drop on and look at some trivia and some quotes from the film and talk a little bit about some fond memories we have about the first time we saw it. So just some interesting little tidbits about the movie. According to Sean Astin, he was allowed to keep the treasure map used in the film, but several years later, his mother, Patty Duke, discovered it, thought it was just a wrinkled piece of paper, and threw it out. Some valuable movie memorabilia there.
Man, Patty, you know better than to throw stuff out without verifying where it comes from.
I know, right? Like, she was the mom on the Patty Duke show. You would think she'd know better.
Yeah.
When rocks are falling from the cave ceiling, Data screams, "Holy shit." Ki Hugh Kwan does this because his mother made him promise not to use any bad language in the film, so he spelled it out instead. The pirate ship was entirely real. All the shots were filmed on the ship. After the film, it was offered to anyone who would take it, and nobody wanted it, so the ship was scrapped. And I believe, like, we were talking about this a little bit the other night when we were recording that. God, I would have loved to have seen that in like a museum or like on like a movie tour or backlot tour or something. Like, that's cool. Like, I wish they would have kept it. You know, if this movie was made nowadays, that would have been a totally CGI'd ship.
Oh, definitely. Most definitely.
Most definitely. The cast was not allowed to see the pirate ship before the shot, as director Richard Donner wanted to catch the genuine reactions at the size and scope of it. When they did see it, however, Josh Brolin was so surprised that he exclaimed, "Fuck!" and the scene had to be reshot anyway. The Goonies were allowed to say "damn," "hell," and "shit," but not "fuck."
Yeah, that would change the rating.
I don't know. It was the 80s. I wouldn't have changed it that much.
It was one of those words that would change it in the 80s.
Yeah, it would have been a G. It would have been Robert Davi, who is the Fratelli brother that's always singing opera in the film, is a trained opera singer himself, and came up with the idea where he sings to Sloth the aria "Una furtiva lagrima," a single secret tear, from Gaetano Donizetti's opera "La Cilior d'Amor," the elixir of love. That movie trivia fact was testing my ability to read Italian.
Should I try it? Because I'd tear it up, you know.
What'd you say, Kev?
I said you did it really well.
Oh, I know. I am Italian. So I watched that documentary, Mike, that you told me about, the making of a cult. It was pretty good. It was quick, man. It was what, 25 minutes, something like that.
25 minutes. It was real short.
Yeah, it was really short, but it was pretty good. And Robert Davi, man, kind of a little bit of a jerk, I think. He plays it off as being like funny, but it sounded like he was kind of a terror on the set, especially with Joe Pantoliano.
Oh, most definitely with Joe. Yeah, I nailed his door shut.
He nailed his door shut. Stole his toupee. One-Eyed Willie's skull was made from real bone, as were all the pirate corpses.
Only Spielberg has a knack for this, doesn't he?
He did that in Poltergeist as well. Yeah. Only Chester Copperpot's body was a prop.
We could go to the local, Halloween. No. There's a cemetery right over there.
Yeah.
Get a shovel, start digging. No, and when we're done, toss them and burn them.
Yeah, it's like you donate your loved one's body to science and find out it's being cast as One-Eyed Willie in the Goonies. All the main characters are referred to by their nicknames. Their real names are either rarely mentioned or not mentioned at all. But according to the script, Mikey is Michael Walsh, Mouth is Clark Devereaux, Data is Richard Wang, Brand is Brandon Walsh, Chunk is Lawrence Cohen, Andy is Andrea Teresa Carmichael, Steph is Stephanie Steinbrenner, and Sloth is Lotney Fratelli.
So I know we hear Chunk's name, like Lawrence.
Mhm.
All the adults are calling him Chunk.
I heard Mouth's name by Mrs. Walsh calling him Clark.
Call him Clark, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't remember hearing like hardly anybody else's names, and I never heard Lotney Fratelli.
No.
I do know Chunk. Yeah, Chunk is referred to by Lawrence by the police officers all the time.
Yep.
Now the actor who played Lawrence. The actor who played Chunk is Jeff Cohen, so I'm wondering if they just used his last name for it. On the DVD commentary, Jeff Cohen, who played Chunk, claims that the confession of puking off the theater balcony is not based on anything in real life. That's incorrect. The basis for the theater story was a real-life prank pulled by executive producer Steven Spielberg while growing up in Phoenix, Arizona.
Prankster.
I haven't watched The Fablemans yet, but I wonder if he makes reference to that in the Fablemans. This film was selected in the National Registry in 2017 for being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant.
Okay.
I don't know about the historical part.
No,
Culturally,
the real
maybe.
one-eyed Willie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but then we're talking about that one.
You make mention of the real one-eyed Willie and grumpier old men.
I watched Boogie Nights earlier today. That's got a one-eyed Willie in it too. In the final sequence, when the police and reporters are asking the kids what they went through in their journey, Data states the octopus was very scary. In the final cut of the film, that line was left in there, but the scene of them fighting the octopus was cut from the final film. That being said,
bad.
well, that being said, gentlemen, I have a treat for you. Let's watch the octopus scene, shall we?
Ooh.
I said stop it! Ow! What are you hitting me for? I swear to mouth! I mean, who do you think you are anyway? What?
What the fuck was that?
I like to point out a few things about that scene. A, Corey Feldman bites into it as if it's made out of leather.
Yeah.
B, Data, I don't know if you heard him, but he goes, "Oh my God, it's a giant turkey."
No,
I heard he said, I don't know what he said.
And lastly, you apparently can defeat an octopus with the power of Cyndi Lauper.
Well, anything can be with the power of Cyndi Lauper.
You know what this scene shows? That 80s technology was indestructible because you could play that Walkman underwater.
That's right.
It could be eaten by an octopus and still be heard.
Yeah, no shit.
I think the one in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea looked better, looked more real.
Yeah, it did. It did. That was made, 1963? Obviously, that's why they cut it from the film. It was not screened well, was not, made well. And even I think it was Corey Feldman who said it in that documentary, like how horrible it looked on set.
Daughter said something about how bad it looked on set.
Because that was Spielberg's idea, I think. Dick Donner didn't want that in the film. John Matuszek, who played Sloth, is wearing the T-shirt of the Oakland Raiders, the team that he played on. He was a professional football player before becoming an actor. He actually sadly died only 2 or 3 years after the Goonies.
Yeah.
He was a young guy. The last name of the brothers who are chasing the Goonies is the Fratelli brothers. Fratelli means brothers in Italian, so they are the brothers. The film had a couple Easter eggs related to Gremlins, which we covered on the show a couple weeks ago. Steven Spielberg and Chris Columbus are executive producers and writers, respectively, for both films. Chunk calls the police, and the officer says, "This call, like the other prank about the creatures that multiply when you throw water on them," which is obviously another Easter egg. The Gremlins action figure pack can be seen in Mikey's room as well. There was more than 900,000 gallons of water used in this movie.
Wow.
Again, if it was made today, that water would have been CGI'd.
Well, Titanic, they built, a good portion of the boat and the water. There was a whole.
Well, that was 1997.
Yeah,
I guarantee you, with how much James Cameron loves technology, if he made Titanic today, that entire fucking movie would be CGI, including the characters. They would be blue, and the Lou Gehrig.
You think you're Martian girls?
Yeah. They didn't even have to go searching for the treasure. The Lou Gehrig baseball card that Mikey finds on Copperpot's body is worth $275,000 at auction in mint condition. Back then, that would have bought all their houses, saved them all the trouble. This is the film debut of Josh Brolin.
Okay.
The kids who played the Goonies were allowed to bring some of their families into the final scene where they're reunited. So most of the parents that you see on the beach at the end were the actual families of the Goonie actors. The novelization of the movie confirms that Chunk's parents actually do adopt a sloth, going as far as to throw him a bar mitzvah. I'd love to hear. I would like to see that scene. Yeah, I would love to hear. I would love to hear him quoting the Torah during the ceremony. Barogata. According to international maritime salvage law, the rights to a salvage vessel and its contents go to the person or persons who first successfully bring something off the vessel in question. Since Mikey brought the jewels off the ship, the Inferno, and everything in it belongs to him.
There is one iota about that.
What's that?
That's if it's outside in water.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually on land, so it belongs to the U.S. government.
No, it was in water. It was in the water in the cave.
Yeah, but it's got to be out international waters. I don't think anything inside of the U.S. waters could be claimed.
I don't know. It's a movie.
Yeah.
Who's to say that bag of jewels wasn't just marbles anyway? Like that's. I like how I see the jewels and they immediately rip up the papers. Like you didn't even have them appraised yet. You're supposed to be curator of a pirate museum. You would think you would know that first. Like, so that's just some of the trivia of the film. So before we go into the quotes here, I should point out that we are possibly all drinking something different from the other night as well. Mike is still drinking the same thing from the other night.
Different can. It's a different can. Same beer.
I've been sipping my beer since Thursday, and I got a couple funny looks at work, but it's still the same.
Yeah.
One. No, this
Not from
is
the kids. The kids thought you were cool.
This is Mudhen Hero Boy, which is a Belgian style strong ale. I had it before.
You were drinking it on the show Thursday.
I was drinking the pastry.
The peppermint one or something.
Peppermint pastry beer, yeah. So this is new. This is brewed in Wildwood too. Wildwood,
that was your second beer that night. Was the Mudhen?
It was, and I never got around.
We didn't get to it.
You never got to it. That's right.
We didn't get to it because your pipe. Mike's pipes had to be cleaned. So on Thursday, when we did part one of this, I was drinking a mixed drink in honor of the Goonies called the Truffle Shuffle. I unfortunately was not able to make that mixed drink tonight because I used up some of the ingredients for it on Thursday night and had another one after we went off the air. So I definitely used up all the shit that I used for it. So tonight I'm drinking some beer instead, and it's beers that Kevin gave me. It's a couple that you've already had on the show. 3-3's Brewing Cinnamon Toast Stout, Cinnamon Cereal Stout. It doesn't taste like cinnamon toast to me.
It's not strong. Megan and I both agree that it was not a strong beer.
To me, it's more almost like an Oktoberfest, like a little more like on the caramel end. It's good. It's good, but I expected it to be a little bit sweeter.
Yep.
And I'm on the verge of finishing that. So when I do, I am moving on to the Dew Claw Patriarchy Candy Cane Imperial Stout, which you had on the show the other night. So
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy that one. A little stronger.
hitting my beers. So now we're going to go into some of our favorite quotes from the film and a little something funny about each one. The first one, of course, is one that we can all say together because it's probably the one that everybody knows best from the film. Goonies never say
say
die. Good job doing that all together.
E L N G S L Y. Mayor.
This is the unofficial rallying cry for every kid who thought yelling was a leadership skill. The next one comes from our man Sloth. Who wants to give us that one?
Hey, you guys!
Sloth's iconic battle cry that's part endearing and earpiece piercing. This is earlier in the film, and Chunk is talking about some of the stories that he told, and he says this to Bran. Okay, Michael Jackson didn't come over to my house to use the bathroom, but his sister did.
Which sister do you think he was referring to?
I assumed it was Latoya. I feel like Latoya is more believable that she would have to use somebody's bathroom.
True.
I don't think Janet Jackson's ever gone to the
She's in
bathroom.
the middle of nowhere, Oregon, right?
Yeah, somewhere in the middle of Astoria, Oregon. I'm going to hit you so hard that when you wake up, your clothes are going to be out of style. I think that's one that we've all used ourselves as kids. Chunk's greatest hits. Here's some good Chunk quotes. So who wants to do this one? This is the go for it, Kev. It's the movie theater one.
But the worst thing I ever done, I mixed up all this fake viewing at home, and then I went to the movie theater.
And then he says I went blah. And everybody in the theater started puking. It was everywhere, and I felt so bad. And then Jake Fratelli goes, "I'm starting to like this kid, Ma." Chunk, I love the dark. I love the dark. I hate nature. I hate nature. Go ahead, Mike. You gave us the other Sloth one. You do this one.
Sloth, love, Chunk.
The purest, most unexpected friendship of the decade. Baby Ruth. Baby Ruth. Ruth. Baby Ruth. Proving that candy bars can save lives. Here's one of Data's exclamations because he promised his mom he wouldn't curse in the film. Holy Mackenzie! Who wants to give us
traps.
Booty traps. You mean booby traps?
Booty traps.
That's
That's
what I said.
Booty traps. I smell ice cream. Oh, no, that's sorry.
That's Chunk. Yeah, his priorities are clear. And that's when he discovers the dead FBI agent in the freezer. Romantic-ish moments. Bran, God put that rock there for a reason, and I don't think you should move it. one of Martha Plimpton's better quotes in the film. This is after Andy accidentally kisses Mikey because he was standing in a ditch, and she thought Bran was standing in a ditch because he was so short. Did you know Bran had braces? Next time you kiss him, do it with your eyes open. It's a whole different experience. The Fratellis.
Kids suck.
Francis Fratelli summing up every adult in this movie. Tell us everything. Everything. Mama Fratelli somehow being scarier than all the booby traps combined.
Rocky Road.
Rocky Road. Sloth proving he's both a dessert connoisseur and a comedic genius. And a few little miscellaneous treasures. This was Sean Astin's first go around of trying to win an Oscar. It's our time down here. Down here, it's our time. Up there, it's their time. It's our time. I still don't know what the fuck that means.
You know, this was the performance that got him the role of Samwise Gamgee.
Yeah, 30 years later. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Frodo, down here, it's our time. Our time.
But I don't remember the taste of strawberries, Sam. So I'm drinking the peppermint one now, the Candy Cane Imperial Stout. It does taste like a candy cane. It's very pepperminty. Good.
Pepperminty, a little, strong.
I love this part. This is after he Chunk drops the statue and breaks the dick off it, and Mikey's like, oh my god, that's my mom's favorite part. And they're trying to glue it back on. They glue it back on upside down, and Mouth goes, "If God made it that way, we'd all be pissing on our face." Mouth roasting Bran while he's working out. Man, you smell like Fizz Ed. And last one, this is a quote full of Spielbergian wonder. Don't you realize the next time you see Sky, it'll be over another town?
In another school.
Another school. Yeah, like Mikey is the inspirational lead of the film. So, from trivia, we're going to go to fond memories. What are some fond memories we have of this? So I was 8 years old when I first saw this because it came out in 85. Kev, I'm assuming you were probably around the same age as me.
7, yeah.
7 or so. Mike was what, 22?
I was 11.
But Kev and I were already Kev and I were already commiserating on this before the show. The two of us were both terrified when she was threatening to put Chunk's hand in the blender.
Yeah, the first thing, I thought she was actually doing something when she dropped the tomato in. I was like, oh my God, no, I don't want to watch it.
But yeah, that freaked me out a little bit as a kid when when you're too stupid to realize what's happening.
Yeah.
I think I saw this in the theater. I have a hard time. Like, I don't remember. There's certain movies I definitely remember seeing in the theater, like Return of the Jedi and Popeye and shit like that.
You've seen it so many times. It's hard to remember when.
Yeah.
And where.
Yeah, I think this was a Friday night rental in our house.
It's possibly a Friday night rental for me too. Like, I don't recall seeing it in the theater, but I did see there are definitely some movies I remember seeing in the theater, but I don't remember this one. So this is probably a rental for me. But I still remember seeing it for the first time and thinking this is the greatest movie ever. And really loving it.
Treasure ship.
Exactly. Like, I was 8 years old, man. I wanted to find a map and find some treasure and bring Sloth home and adopt him.
That was everything with every 80s movie. When E.T. came out, I wanted a red hoodie and wanted to ride around my bike and with an alien in the front basket.
When Stand By Me came out, I wanted to hike into the hills with my friends and find a dead body.
That's right.
I remember the first time I saw Weird Science. It was like, God damn, I wish I could create a sexy woman with my computer.
Exactly.
I want to hang from a bridge and drop off and fly.
Yeah. I want to bust ghosts. I want to be a RoboCop.
I want to go sing in the Chicago parade.
I want to be a Crocodile Dundee.
I want to dress up like a shower and get my ass kicked by a bunch of skeletons.
Anybody feel like doing a 40th anniversary episode of Crocodile Dundee? That came out this year too.
Actually, it's actually on my list of movies that time forgot.
Movies that time forgot. No, if you want to do a movie that time forgot, Crocodile Dundee 2. So I got a few little
more Dundee.
I got a few little nitpicks about the film. I know that's hard to believe. This film is so perfect. But there are a few little things that always stick out to me when I watch it, and a couple things I actually noticed a little bit more watching it with a more studious eye this time around. Is opening the gate via Rube Goldberg machine really the most convenient way to do that? Like, what happens if the chicken doesn't lay an egg?
Chunk stays outside.
Like, do you have to reset that every time somebody comes over the house? Like, that seems pretty inconvenient. They can't afford a mortgage, but they can afford a housekeeper to help them pack up and move.
She's indentured servitude.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure she's indentured servitude. That's not how plumbing works.
That's definitely not how plumbing works.
I can tell you that from the other night.
There is no reverse whatever.
I can tell you that plumbing doesn't work that way. Now that I have a sink after not having a sink in my kitchen for the last 2 weeks and actually having some working plumbing now.
Not only does not work the way it shows when they're banging the pipes, but when they're fixing the sink and it's spraying up it doesn't work that way either.
There's no reverse flow like that.
Mike shut off his pipe and there was an alligator in the Neshaminy Creek. That's just the way it happens.
Bran survives attempted murder when the bully kid, whose name I can't remember, grabs his hand while he's on the cliff and drives him off a cliff. Like, he pretty much tried to kill him there. Chattering teeth are not that strong.
Hell no, they're not.
Neither is the little suction cup arrow he uses at the beginning to pull himself towards the can. The climax is full of some giant plot holes, and I have them listed here. At the end of the Goonies, Mama Fratelli triggers One-Eyed Willie's final booby trap, an elaborate device that causes a massive cave-in, and it creates a new opening to the outside world that's big enough for the ship to sail through. That's not even a booby trap, really. It's more like a booby escape. I love booby escapes. But this whole story depends on One-Eyed Willie and his crew having been trapped underground. If they built a device that could have freed them, why didn't they use it? Instead, they apparently sat around a table trying to eat all the gold or something and died at the same time. Because according to legend, Willie killed them all to prevent them from getting to his treasure, the treasure that was sitting right in front of them when they died alongside Willie.
I have the answer to that.
Go ahead.
Because in the documentary, that was not supposed to be the ending.
Mhm.
They were the ship was supposed to be buried in the avalanche.
The avalanche, yeah. And she finds them the jewels in his pocket when they're back at home already.
Yep.
So yeah, Willie died too. Whether he did kill his men also proved fatal to himself. That defeats the purpose of his elaborate plan to build a giant booby trap that could easily free him. One he chose not to use. Why? Because it's in the script that way.
Yes.
Oh, and that Asian stereotype super genius techno wizard who always has just the right gadget to save the day. He doesn't know the difference between a candle and a stick of dynamite. What else do I got here? Poor Rosalita. We already said she's probably been tricked into indentured servitude, but she also believes she's serving the whims of people who are either drug lords or sex fiends or both. Thanks to Ralph.
Gotta keep,
Mouth. I said Ralph.
gotta keep your drugs separated.
And why was everyone, and I mean everyone, on the beach at the end of the film? The parents were there, the police were there, the Fratellis were there, the news was there.
Yeah.
The rich guy that was trying to buy all the property was there with his son, the bully.
Wasn't it the same plot line in not Can't Hardly Wait? What am I thinking of? John Cusack ski movie.
Was it Ski School?
No,
that wasn't John Cusack. That was the guy that played Chainsaw in Summer School.
Oh, no, not that one either. Shit. All right, I'm gonna have to
Say Anything.
No, it wasn't Say Anything. It had Demi Moore in it too.
Oh wow, yeah, I'm not up to date on my John Cusack films.
Really? I thought that was right down your alley.
No, there's an answer to that last nitpick I have, and that's what Mike just said about how the original ending was the ship being buried. So they would have already been back at the house with the families at this point. So at this point, they needed to have everybody in the same scene.
Mm-hmm.
You looking up that movie, Kev?
I am. It was One Crazy Summer.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's actually on
Tubi right now. Which was a ski movie, but One Crazy Summer, which was it had a investor looking to buy up a portion of, I want to say, the beach or some land, and his son was involved. I don't know.
I just saw it today. I think it was on either Amazon Prime or Tubi. One Crazy Summer.
Oh, and John Matuszak was in that one too.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
So here are taglines for the film. Take the oath, join the adventure.
There was an oath?
There was an oath that was cut from the film. So it wasn't just Goonies Never Say Die. There was like a whole thing that they said. I don't have it. I would recite it for you. They call themselves the Goonies, the secret caves, the old lighthouse, the lost map, the treacherous traps, the hidden treasure, and Sloth. Join the adventure.
And Sloth.
Where's the old lighthouse?
That was it when you used the doubloon, the lighthouse, and the two islands were in it, so that shows you where to go.
So it's something on the map.
No, there was.
No. Oh yeah. Where the Fratelli's restaurant was. Yeah, that scene. I remember that now. Okay. The pirates' map, the villainous crooks, the underground caverns, the booby traps, the skeletons, the monster, the lost treasure, and the magic that is the Goonies. These taglines are taking my breath away, man. That's a lot to say.
They're good enough.
It's excitement all the way as Steven Spielberg and Richard Donner, the makers of Indiana Jones, Gremlins, and Superman, combine forces to create the family adventure of the year. Corey Feldman makes a mention of that in that documentary too. That like he knew this movie was going to be a hit because it says in the tagline from the makers of Gremlins, Superman, and
Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
Everything that was.
Yeah. So let's do a little Muppets recasting. If we were going to make a modern day version of this film, who are we casting as what? Mike has.
I got it.
Has his cast. Let me hear it.
So
'Cause I
you got to
struggled with it.
understand, for this movie, Kermit is not the lead.
Okay.
That's how you get through. How to get this picture. It's going to be Robin. Robin's going to be Mikey.
Okay. So Robin Frog, the
Frog
Kermit.
is Mikey.
Okay.
So Kermit's going to be Brand,
Okay.
which makes Piggy
Andy.
Andy.
Janice. Is
And then you got Gonzo as Mouth.
okay. I had Pepe Prawn.
And then you have Camellia Chicken as Steph.
Because Ralph and Steph kind of have a connection at the end. Mouth.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I keep saying Ralph. Mouth.
Mouth.
Mouth. I keep saying Ralph because I'm thinking of Ralph Mouth from Happy Days.
Yeah. And then you have Fozzie as Chunk.
Okay, that's what I had for Chunk. I had Fozzie.
And then you have what's his name?
Scooter.
No, not Scooter. I'm thinking no. Beaker is Data.
Where's Bunsen? You can have Bunsen in there. Beaker is Data. I had Gonzo as Data. I had Fozzie as Chunk. I had Pepe as Mouth.
You have Sweetums as Sloth.
Sweetums as Sloth. Definitely had Sweetums as Sloth.
Now the brothers.
Okay.
You're gonna love it. It's
Waldorf and Statler.
no.
Yeah.
No. I'm going more comic than that. I'm going with
Bert and Ernie.
Robert's the singing one. It's going to be the Swedish Chef.
Oh,
Swedish Chef.
and Joe's
Emiliano.
Ariano is going to be the Boomerang Fish Guy. And Mama Fratelli is going to be Mama Fratelli. So that's the human actor.
So I had in my head the Fratellis, the Mama Fratelli and the brothers were going to be all real actors, not Muppets. And I was going to bring back Robert Davi and Joe Pantoliano as the brothers. And they would just have to get somebody to be the mom because Ann Ramsey's dead. But
Can you just see the Swedish Chef in there singing?
But you made Miss Piggy Mama Fratelli, so then she has to be pissed off that she's Mama Fratelli.
I'm just still thinking about Beaker as Data.
Booby trap. One Oscar. Who gets it? I'm giving it to. I'm going to give it to. I was thinking of giving it to Donner as director for having to put up with all these kids. I was also thinking
Kelly Brothers, right?
Yeah, I was also thinking of Spielberg and Columbus as the writers. If I had to give it to an actor, it's going to Sloth.
Oh, definitely.
Going to John Matuszek for having to put up with 10 hours worth of putting makeup on and off for that role.
And then when they got him wet, he had to put it back on.
Yeah, they tell us in the documentary, like when they were filming the scene in the water, they couldn't get the makeup wet because it would ruin it. And he sat in the chair for 5 hours to put the makeup on. They go on set, the kids immediately start splashing and get water all over him and ruin the makeup. And he has to go and sit another 5 hours to put it back on again. And didn't complain one time, Richard Donner said.
I give it to Lupe Ontiveros.
For Rosita?
Yeah,
Rosita, for putting up with Mouth. All right. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. That was our 40th anniversary look back at the Goonies, a movie that we three of us all love very fondly, and we're happy to revisit for this episode. Mike, do you have any beer trivia or history for us this evening?
I do. Here we go. The beer-centric city of Brussels, Belgium, celebrates its own beer festival known as the Belgian Beer Weekend during the first weekend of September. It is organized by the Belgian Brewers Guild and features hundreds of beers from large and small breweries across the country. Put that on our list of places to go.
All right.
Belgium.
I really love that our
We
cinema
got to
quote
rent
of
an
the week.
RV for this.
Yeah, an RV. I really love that our cinema quote of the week that Kevin usually reads for us is by Kevin's favorite actor, Daddy Longlegs himself.
That's right. Not one, not
But
two,
two, not three. Mike has not seen Longlegs yet, and I don't know if he ever will, but that is from Longlegs. So go ahead and give us that quote, sir.
Film acting is one of the industries where you're criticized for working hard. In any other industry, it's considered a quality and something to behold.
Nicolas Cage.
Only because he's like he assumes
Correct.
he assumes he's a method actor, but he's just nuts. He is an octopus. Or did. I don't know if he still does. Kevin sent me a video earlier of Oscar snubs for this year's Oscars that they just announced them, and one of them was Nick Cage's Long Legs, which I know is a joke, but it was funny to see that clip on there. I am pissed off at the Oscars this year, and I don't even know if I'm going to watch them like I usually do, because Denis Villeneuve did not get a directing nomination for Dune Part 2, and I think that is fucking robbery. That movie is phenomenal.
It was only recognized for Best Actor, right?
It was recognized for Best Picture. It's one of the 10 nominees, and cinematography, which it definitely should win the award for. And I think that's it. I don't think it got any other nominations. Maybe like a visual effects and sound. It didn't get any acting noms.
Sci-fi and fantasy always gets snubbed.
Yeah, but this is like, it goes beyond that. Like the filmmaking itself is just amazing. Timothée Chalamet is nominated this year, but not for Dune. He's nominated for the Bob Dylan biopic. I can't think of the name of it, but yeah, I'm like pissed, man. It's a lot of the movies I haven't even seen this year that are nominated. Like usually I keep up with that, or I try to like watch them before the Oscars, but like I have very little interest in most of the movies that are nominated this year. You know, there's a couple that I will watch. Like I'll watch Wicked when that comes out, and I've seen Dune. Obviously, Conclave is nominated, which I've seen, and is a phenomenal movie. And Ray Fiennes is nominated for Best Actor. I hope he wins because he fucking deserves it. Yeah, but otherwise, I'm so pissed that didn't get the nominations it deserved. Anyway, that's me. Thanks for joining us this evening for episode 180. Goonies Never Say Die. Episode 180 was our 40th anniversary look back at the classic Goonies. We hope you enjoyed listening to the podcast, both parts of it, as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. Remember, you can shoot us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation. Find all of our social media and podcast links. Become part of the Films and Fermentation family by supporting us on Patreon or buying our merchandise at teespring.com. We are now part of the PodNation Media Network on Roku. So check us out there if you'd like. You can also text us again at 904-867-4466 if you'd like to talk to us directly. Don't forget to stop by the Crossroads between Pickled and Fermented next time around for episode 181. I'm pausing it. So episode 181, next time around, we're going to be looking at actors who are playing characters that are, I don't know how we're going to word this. It's actors playing outside of their normal characters.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you have actors who you know for playing certain particular types of roles, but here they are acting in a film that you don't really expect to see them in.
Actors playing against type.
Actors playing against type. Thank you, sir. That is exactly what I was going for, but I'm too drunk to say it right now. So again, I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
This has been the Films and Fermentation podcast, part of the PodNation Media Network. Thanks for listening, everybody. And check it out later. We're going to be having a little bonus episode this week that will be available only on the PodNation Media Network on Roku and through our paywall on Patreon. So check that out later on. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.